let's do some docking, because I have a contract to do some docking, and I think I can do this really quickly. Because I got, let's find it, Explore Kerbin, that's the one. Flip to here, and then we'll do the whole moon landing next one, because I got a whole ton of contracts just connected with doing a moon landing. But attach 2 different vessels together near Kerbin with a docking port or a claw, and achieve to achieve this goal. So I already have the tourist mobile, which is capable of getting itself into low orbit, can hold 2 Kerbals. All I need to do... Now, do I have RCS? Yeah, I do. Okay. All I need to do is make this something that can can dock. So let's do that. So that all looks good in there. This is already like something that's... What's the delta V? The total delta V. This thing was getting into orbit, right? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We got that. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll put one of these in orbit, and then we'll let's... I'm just going to change this name to LKO1. So we're going to remove the parachute. Remind me to put a backup parachute of some kind. But I do have a docking junior. And we're just going to put 2 of these up there, and we're just going to dock them. Why the heck not? So that should be that. Parachutes, because it does have to come back. I guess I'll be going with these radial tubers. 2 of them like that. That will provide ample parachuting force. Yep, that works. Just make sure the staging all makes sense. Okay, we're going to... No, there's already monopropellant. There is not monopropellant in this thing. Okay, so we're going to have to add in some monopropellant. Where can I hide it? I guess I don't have to really hide it. So we're going to grab... I think my smallest is this, the Stratified... Oh, mini! Nice, minified monopropellant. So I don't want that much. Sure. Whatever reason they look more aerodynamic that way. So that gives me 15 units of monopropellant. If you feel you need more, there's these ones that are bigger. They hold 20 units each. But I'm going to go with the little mini ones. I'm going to go with the little mini ones. I like docking. If I end up messing this up, well, then I mess it up. But there we go. I'm pretty well. Not yeah. I'm okay with that. Maybe I'm getting picky. Maybe I should put them up here. There, and then again we'll tuck them in. Put that in local. Out a little bit. There we go. There's our monopropellant supply. There's no texture differences, so that's that. Don't need anything else there. That's it. Need RCS. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this off. So this is our orbiter. It's going to lose a good 1,000 meters per second. So I'm going to take off most of this fuel. Like when it's in orbit, it's going to look more like this than anything else. Oh, there's still fuel up here. Oh, shoot. Okay, I gotta have these 2 match. I want to get just sort of where the center of mass is going to be when this thing is up and about. Yeah, it's probably pretty close there. Don't forget to put those back. So now I can put on the center of mass. And are there RCS built into this capsule? I do not think so. No. No, because there's no thrust limiter thingy. Okay, so I need to get these little... I'm going to use these little fellas. I like these little ones more than the big ones for... Unless my orbiter gets very big. I prefer the little ones. So I'm going to put 4 of them down here. Actually, I'm thinking... Let's put 4 of them about here. It'll be okay. I know they're going to be on a bit of an angle, but that's okay. I don't see the problem. And then what I like to do is get into the actuation toggles, and I like to toggle off the yaw, pitch, and the roll so that you're only using RCS for translating port, starboard, dorsal, ventral, forward, and back. You're not using it to yaw, pitch, and roll to change the orientation in the craft. You got reaction wheels for that. You don't need, and it'll save you a ton of monoprop. It's a very useful habit to get into. And then I'm just going to put 4 more down here. I'm sure that'll be fine. I don't see what the problem's going to be. Make sure the door's still open. That's a good plan. That I can still get Kerbals in and out after. Yeah, I'll test that in a second. But honestly, I think... Oh, is the staging messed up now? Staging scene. It seems like I lost some delta V there for some reason. There's that, and then this, and then that, and then the top. Why is my delta V now only 3,122? There's no way I lost that much just from a little bit of extra weight there. Do I have a small nose cone? Don't think I do. Oh, that's poopy. No, that's huge. Okay, we're just going to be pushing up. Okay. Why? Okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to see if we can improve this with a little bit of asparagus staging. This thing, these are liquid fuel, and so these engines use the same type of fuel. We're going to do a little asparagus staging to make this more efficient. And the way this works is you put all 3 engines here on the same time. So all of these are going off at once, right at the beginning. But what you want is for when these guys drain, or when you stage this, what you want when all 3 of these engines are going, you're not using any of this fuel from the central core, so that when these tanks here go dry, everything's running off at the 2 side boosters. These go away and this guy's full. And the way you accomplish that is simply by some fuel lines, the external fuel duct, and you grab them on 2-way symmetry. You go from the booster to here, so that what's happening now, if we turn on this engine and turn on our fuel delivery overlay, which is always confusing, but look at the numbers. The higher that this has a priority of 20, this one has a priority of 10. And what that's saying is the 20 will get drained first. So although all 3 engines are going, this tank and its partner on the other side, which I'm assuming is the same. Yeah, will gain first. So that's done with those little fuel tanks. Oops, I meant to click on this. A different, oh yeah, black. Okay. And I'm hoping, this should get me better delta V. Now, what's happening now is our thrust to weight is bazonkers here at the bottom. It's actually pretty bazonkers up here too. So I'm going to take this central engine. I'm going to turn down the thrust to weight so that at this stage it's about 2. 2 I find works well for a mid stage. And then I'm going to put it on C level. And I'm going to turn down these ones so that the launch thrust to weight is about 1.33. Okay, and now back on vacuum. This can't be right, this delta V number. There's no way. There's no way that delta V number is right. So what I'm going to do, I don't know how it's messed up, but somehow it's messed up. What if I put these all on the same stage? That shouldn't have even made a difference, and for some reason it does. Put back. Okay, we're going to open up Kerbal Engineer, and we're going to use Kerbal Engineer as a backup. Kerbal Engineer says the same thing. He'll remember the fuel eventually! Oh, that's so funny. Oh my gosh. I told you guys to remind me, and you were, and I wasn't paying any attention. Okay, that's got to be... It's still too low. I don't trust you. There's no way that's right. What's... This is saying the same thing. That's at 100. That's at 100 now. Oh, but that means these thrust to weights are wrong. Oh, for goodness sake. So this has to be higher. There's no way that extra bit... This is so confused. Like, why is there a delta V on the launch clamp part? Let's take the launch clamps off. Maybe that's... Let's start with that. Oh, this hose is going the... What the heck? Silly hose? Silly... Look at this hose. It's just dumping fuel. Silly hose. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be this way. Oh, look at that. Now everything's making way more sense. I still feel like I should have more Okay. 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 And then this on sea level. Let's turn this... Oh my gosh. It still feels low to me, but we'll go with it. 3671. I feel like I had way more than that before, but... Put the launch clamps back on. Try that again. 3671. I honestly don't really believe you, but you know what? We're going to go for it. We're going to see what happens. So who's going to be our brave people? Yes, Jeb and Bill. They're going to fly this first. They're going to fly this first. Chris Bennett is sacrificing his financial future in order for me to know that I forgot to put the fuel back in. Did I take out any? No. Still feels low, but you know what? We're going to go for it because it's getting close to the end of stream time. And sometimes you just got to go for it. So we're going to save, and we're going to launch, and we're going to go. Okay. All right. So, so this fuel tank should remain full. This is how I can test it. This is all supposed to be going, and these two should drain equally. Let's make sure that this all makes sense. Okay. All right, Jeb and Bill, we're going to do this. Launch. Yep, it's working, I think, the way it's supposed to. So you can see how these are being drained, but the middle one's staying full, though all the engines are going all at the same time. I don't know, maybe that little bit of addition... Oh, lock the prograde, look at that! That little bit of an addition of the... little bit of monoprop maybe is adding that much weight. I wouldn't think it is, but maybe on that top little probe up there, maybe it is. That's, I guess, possible. Okay, I don't need to look at these. But I do need to watch for when these bars run out, so I know to stage. Let's keep myself from falling over quite so quickly. There we go. Off from 90 degrees, so a little more this way. I'm coming in a little shallow. A little shallow there, Jebediah. Okay, whoa, what's my time too? Oh, still 33 seconds. Is good. Yeah, maybe I added on and brought down the delta V of that orbiter more than I think I did. Okay, reducing throttle here a bit. And I'm going to go for 100 kilometers. And then Valentina and Bob will come in underneath. But I'm a little worried this thing is underbuilt. Now I'm getting some... a little bit of heating effects because it came up a little bit too shallow here. Let's actually... Oh, we're onto this now. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried of my design being flawed and my launch being terrible. I think I just need to have, like, you know, what's the expression there? More boosters. More boosters. I think this has got an idea to it, but I think it needs more boosters. I'm... We'll see. We'll see if we can make it work. Send it to shallow like. You get spoiled playing KSP 2, which doesn't have the whole heat model going. Though, I mean, heating's not the problem, it's drag that's the problem. Despite what all the glowiness tells you otherwise. There also might be a lot of drag up here at the top because there's a blunt old docking port up there. That might not be working well. It's a prototype, as they say. Yeah, yeah. We'll see what happens. I think an extra pair of those radio boosters, or just stepping up those radio boosters on the bottom. Just put on more tanks on those radio boosters on the side. I think this will work great. I mean, I turned down the thrust to weight on those two radial swivel engines. I think they're swivel engines, but I turned them down a lot. But we ain't making an orbit here, folks. So this is going to go back to the drawing board. Let's... Well, I think we should... We're actually not as far as you might think. I'm still going for 100 for some dumb reason. There we go. 100 kilometers. Oh my gosh, we're still way too much drag happening here. Only 28 meters. Okay, let's just get into space. This is a suborbital. It's not far off. It was a combination of bad design. We're going to just step up the boosters on the side. Or 4 boosters instead, too. But I got me a feeling... We'll see. We'll get them in space. This is Bill's first time in space, by the way. But we wanted to test the... we're going to test some stuff in space here anyway. Oh, and lights! For goodness sakes! Always forgetting the lights. So we're going to live with this. We're going to take it back down again. Might land in a biome, collect some science or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Okay, we are in space. We are in space. So what we can do is test the RCS system. So what you want to do is just put on RCS. Keep the SAS on at first. And then just thrust up. Well, yep, that's up. And you can see it's holding its attitude without too much trouble. Go right. Go left, you know, forward, backwards, and the craft isn't rotating around. Now the ultimate test of whether you have this balance is to take SAS off and try that again. Oh my God, that's not bad. That's not bad. I'm not correcting, and I have SAS off. So these guys are a little bit. If you could turn down the thrust limiter on these just a little bit. You know, if you cared about having really nice balanced thrust, you could do that. Look at that. See? It's not so hard to get this nicely balanced. Still a little bit high. Not bad. Jebediah. 80? Pretty good. Well, we can live with that. And what's really nice, why I really like these little thruster blocks, is it's just sipping. These little thruster blocks are 1/10 of the power of the bigger thruster blocks, and it's just sipping the monopropellant. Like, I only have 15 units of monopropellant aboard, yet this thing is fine. Alright, so what we'll do is we are on our way back down. I got him spinning in an uncontrolled way. Okay, so let's get down there. Let's just bring this down to the surface and we'll call her a day. Oh, I wanted to check the door. John mentioned that. See, doors work, so that's good. That I didn't put the blocks in such a way that they block the hatch, which is always a possibility. If the RCS are placed on the cardinal points, oh, that's a good point. Might fix that too. John is suggesting. So instead of having them, like, what he's pointing out is if I do this, see how they're like, you have this thrust going this way on an angle and these thrusts going this way. So part of the component of this thrust is like this, and part of the component of this thrust is like this, and they're working against each other. They're fighting each other. That's not too efficient. But if I simply move the thruster blocks so that, you know, an eighth of a turn, I suppose, so that this one would be here and this one would be here, that would remove that. I might do that too. Have to still make sure. Hey, you know what I can do? No, that's just getting dumb. Let's get down to the surface. This can all be fixed. We're going to make this the perfect orbiter when this is all done. We're going to make this the perfect. You don't need the ablator too, that's very true. For a low orbit, I could lose the heat shield. This heat shield here I can just take off. I don't need it. Or just take off the ablator entirely, I think is being suggested. That's true. I could lose weight that way, but here, let's get them down. Bill's having a good time, and this is an experience point for him. I need to make a list of things to fix. So one of the things was RCS, to just move them a little bit. And the other thing is lights. I'm writing this stuff down. And the other thing is bigger boosters. Either bigger or more. Coming down. So maybe my dismissal of the numbers wasn't wise. I was in the VAB going, those numbers can't be right. They're wrong, but I guess they were right. And of course, my launch was less than super efficient too. I don't like this whole like coming right along a mountain range. That ain't cool. What the heck? What the heck? Can I do a crew report here? No, I've already done this. Oh, upper atmosphere. I'm still in the upper atmosphere. I don't like this. I might. Am I going to be lucky and come down in here? Well, I hope you guys don't mind a little mountaineering, Jeb and Bill. I might get ready to get rid of this heat shield just to save. Oh, no. I got plenty of parachute because I'm now got 2 parachutes. Oh, I got the wrong type of... Yeah, that's true too. I have the angled RCS blocks rather than I can go through the variants and get the ones that go straight. That's true too. Okay. Now, are we... Crew report. Crew report flying over the mountains. Might as well grab that. I'm hoping things are flattish. Where we're going. This is a little nerve-wracking. I think, as long as we don't end up on the side of this cliff, this looks like a little kind of a little plateau there. Hoping that we're going to be okay. Okay, come on, fully deploy shoots, fully deploy. There we go. No, look at that. It's like we picked the perfect spot to land. Isn't that awesome? I think Jebediah can go out and do himself an EVA report here, because we are flying over the mountains. Flying over the mountains. This is working out all right. I mean, normally you don't. Coming to the mountains is tricky business. Save the RCS for post-landing stabilization. I've got a nice fir tree coming right beside that. Unfortunately, I have no more monopropellant because that went with the service module. But, boop, down we are. Here, let's get Bill to come out this time. Doesn't really much matter. He can take the data out of there. Bill can do himself an EVA report. I think we can also do a surface sample. This is my first surface sample. So an EVA report, 2.4 science. A surface sample here from the mountains for 9 science. All right, Bill. In you go. And I think I can do one more crew report. The clouds are just racing overhead. Jeepers. Okay, you know what? It's okay. So I think looking at that, I think this has potential. I just need to make a few tweaks on this thing. So we'll make some tweaks on this thing. Okay, let's go to sunrise because I never like this when it's in the dark. And actually, let's do a quick pop into mission control. Always like to take a look at. I can pick up one more contract. I hate, not that I hate, but new orbital station around the moon. I haven't built a space station yet. What do they want me to do? Oh, it's only the electric charge, but it's always some ridiculous number. I hate that. 5 Kerbals. That's a big first station. I won't go there yet. Temperature surveys of the moon. I could. Oh, those are over a specific point. Yeah, we'll get not this time. Sometime in the future. More of those. Science data from the space around Kerbin. Oh, okay, we'll be on space around Kerbin, so I'll grab that. Okay, that fills up my 7. All right, let's go take a look at here. And we'll bring up my LKO craft, and I'll go over and also science data from, add that to our list of contracts we're going to accomplish. Actually, I can close this. All right, so what improvements have I made to this thing? Well, the main improvement I did is to give it just more Delta V. It used to have only one of these FLT 400 tanks on these 2 radio boosters. I put just a second one. That's it. And that puts it up to, if I put it up into vacuum, like 4,139 meters per second total Delta V for going into low orbit, coming back down. Piece of cake. It should be a piece of cake. I haven't tested it yet, so it better be a piece of cake. The other thing I did is I did tweak the RCS. I got some RCS thruster blocks. I noticed when I had it in space during my suborbital trajectory, I showed people how you can test whether the RCS is perfectly balanced. And you don't need to perfectly balance it, but I noticed that if I tweak this down a bit, they do become perfectly balanced. So I came and I just tweaked that thrust limiter on that bottom set of RCS blocks down a little bit, and I put on lights. Blinky lights here, blinky lights there. Gotta have blinky lights. So that's about it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna launch this thing right away. So who are our Jeb and Bill? Sure thing. Bill has yet to be in space. Oh no, he did. He went suborbital. That's why he's got. We botched his. He did go in space and we botched it. Okay. I don't really think there's much to do, so we're going to put on... Oh, what did I do? I just put on... That was pretty dumb. I got happy with the keys and hit the... Oh, is the antenna... No, there's no antenna on this thing. Good. I think all I wanted to do is turn on the lights, and I ended up opening the doors. Maybe my action groups a little messed up? They could be. Lights. Service bay was toggled with the lights. Why? Oh, I know why I did that. Okay, maybe that was a dumb idea. Sorry, I'm being distracted. All right, throttle up. Let's go. Staging makes some degree of sense. It does. And we're off. As you can see, we have changing plumes here. So this is the Waterfall mod putting in the plumes. Got scatterer, got environmental visual enhancements, got parallax. Let's start our gravity turn over here. These two stages here are asparagously staged. In other words, there's fuel lines here feeding fuel into this core stage so it stays full. So although all three engines are going, the fuel is only being used out of these side ones. It's a nice, efficient way in which to set that all up. And again, although the looks is different because I'm competing with Kerbal Space Program 2, the functionality of everything is still exactly the same. Do I need to lower thrust? Not yet. Okay, we're about to lose those boosters. There they go. Nice, it's ascending very well. Very well, you're doing a good job there, Jim. Okay, and I'm going to start reducing throttle. I always do that when I get around a time of about 45 seconds, and just to... And to, it kind of... I fiddle with this a lot. and just keep watching the time, and every time it ticks up a bit, I reduce the throttle a little bit more. Makes the launch a little bit more efficient. If all you want to do is bring the throttle down around the halfway point and just let it go from there on, by all means, that will still make it more efficient, and then still the launch won't take as long. And yeah, and all I got to do is watch my apoapsis really from here on in. The heading is 90 degrees spot on. I'm locked to the prograde vector, so there's nothing for me to do on that part. Just keep an eye on my time to apoapsis. Keep an eye on my apoapsis. I'm gonna go for a 100-kilometer orbit, so that will help to facilitate the rendezvous, which I'll talk about when we launch the second of these two. Are the textures on there? Yes, I have the ReStock mod, which has changed the textures on all the parts, so I think all the parts do look a little bit better. So there are some texture changes on parts. Like, for instance, the reaction wheels look very different than they do in the stock game. Oh! Wakey wakey, that stage is dead. On to just the orbiter. Gotta throttle up because it's only a Terrier now pushing this thing. The list of mods is down there in the description if you're interested. So how many mods I have, I'm not exactly sure. But you can look at the list and you can count. Whenever I have a modded game at all, I always put the list of mods down in the description. No problem. Okay, let's see. Yeah, she's doing pretty good. Yeah, I remember now. Yes, I can't remember what I did a week ago. I have tough enough time remembering what I did for breakfast. But I put the service bay on the same action groups with the lights because I don't have full action groups yet. So I thought, oh, it'd be nice. Once I'm in space, I'll turn on the lights. But then I turned them on right when I started, which opened up the service bay. But of course, you don't want to fly through the atmosphere with the service bay. So that's what happened with that. All right, I'm going to stop reducing throttle. Stop that. Just push this up. You're being silly. You are very, very welcome, Shamboa. I'm glad people are finding the tutorials useful. And I try to do the tutorials in such a way that I'm actually... I think it's important to understand what's going on, not just build what I build and do what I do. And I kind of deliberately build things... Whoops, it's almost in an orbit. I kind of deliberately build things fairly simplified. Now, part of that, to be honest, is my own lack of imagination. But part of that as well is, or at least the excuse that I give is, got my 100-kilometer periapsis, so I killed, or apoapsis, so I killed throttle. Still pretty low in the atmosphere here, but that's okay. But part of the rationale also is that people can look at it and you know, okay, I've given you the basic idea how this all works, gave you a basic craft. If you want to kind of go nuts after that, then by all means feel free to go nuts. All right, so I'm losing a little bit of height on my apoapsis. I probably should have gone a little higher than 100, but as we get close to being out of the atmosphere, I'll just push this back up. It'll be hardly any delta V to push this back up. The only problem is I can only time warp at 4 times speed still in the atmosphere, so. How did I get Contract Plus? It's a mod. I installed it through CCAN. Okay, let's push up that apoapsis back to 100. There we go. And now I can open these doors up. There we go. And I gotta open the doors up because my solar panels are in there. Alright, so I'm gonna time warp up to my apoapsis. Some people like to make a maneuver node to finish off the insertion. Like they go out here and they put a maneuver node at apoapsis and they get their orbit. And of course there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But I see no problem in just time warping until you're close to apoapsis and just, you know, burning a little prograde and getting her done that way. Of course, that I have, my periapsis is 55 kilometers, so I hardly have to do anything here. I'm almost in an orbit as it is. Yeah, I'll roll to expose the solar panels in a bit. I think this thing has a lot of battery juice. It does. It's good for solar. It's, you know, and it doesn't use a lot of electricity either. It's just the lights, really. And reaction wheels when I'm using them. Alright, so I'm going to get a 5. Let's just do this. Again, just going for 100 by 100. The other thing that I find is nice about making that final, and you know, going up with such low thrust is that the final insertion is so low, and then it makes it pretty easy to get a really nice orbit when you don't have to do this big ginormous burn, you know, at the top of your arc. Okay, so there we are. This guy's inserted. I pointed my solar panels at least at where the sun was. So when we get around, it should be okay. Let's get back to the Space Center and put up the sister craft. Okay, so actually I can just click here. It was LKO 1. And it's going to be Valentina and Bob. That sounds perfect. Let's just launch. A lot of people get caught with mods that aren't 100% up to date. And they think they can't install them, but the truth is you can. Especially simple UI mods like this. So, yeah, you can do that. So, but yes, on CCAN you can say, no, go ahead and install it anyway. It'll do it for you. Okay, so I need to set this fella here as a target. There we are. So let's talk about rendezvous. Okay, so if you're gonna, and rendezvousing two craft in space, in orbit, is 100% not intuitive. The measure of how you can tell whether something in space is intuitive or not is whether they're talking about it in any space movies you ever watch. And any space movie I've ever seen, even ones that are attempting to be pretty realistic, simply just drive. like nothing's holding them back. Simply just drive to wherever it is they want to go. And with this great big giant planet bending, I like to think of it as the play surface. Like it's like I'm playing on a giant mini golf course, and this is a great big giant depression in that mini golf course. And so if I want to get from here to here, I got to play the green, as it were, and kind of get myself there. So the easiest way to do that is to put yourself in a different orbit than your target. You can be above the target orbit or you can be below the target orbit. I put it in a 100-kilometer orbit so I can come up below it and still have some room. When you're in a different orbit, you'll be orbiting at a different speed. Since we're going to go into a lower orbit, we'll be going faster than Jeb and Bill are in this vessel. So that means I would like to be behind them in my orbit. So I'm going to time warp. And if you spend a lot of time with this, you can really get a feel for how far behind you need to be. But honestly, for what I'm about to do, if I just get it so the craft is straight above me, I'm sure that's gonna be fine. We'll end up behind because it takes us some time to get up. There we go. So when we launch now into our 80-kilometer orbit, we'll be behind them. So boom, 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 launch, go. Off, let go. Okay. So this is the same thing you just saw, except this time we are going for an 80-kilometer orbit rather than, let's knock it over, rather than a, there we go, rather than a 100-kilometer orbit. So rule 1, if you're going to rendezvous two things in low orbit about Kerbin, rule 1 is you insert yourself into a different orbit than your target. If you are lower than your target, then you want to be behind them so you'll catch up. And if you're in a higher orbit than your target, you want to be ahead of them so they'll catch up to you. But you don't want to launch into the same orbit because then you'll have the same orbital period and then you'll just simply follow each other round and round, and that's not going to get you anywhere. Alright, so how are we doing here? Oh, just about to lose our boosters again. There they go. I'm going to let it go a little bit. Last time I started reducing at 45 seconds. This time I'm going to reduce it 50 seconds. And just because it seemed last time that I was a little low in the atmosphere, I want to try and not have that happen again. Not that it was a big deal, but it meant the whole thing taking longer. You know what? In fact, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna just reduce to here and let it go. No more. It's really hard for me not to keep playing with the throttle. Here, I'm gonna play with it. I'm gonna put it right at about 50%, and I'm gonna leave it there. Now I mean it. I'm gonna leave it from here, and then we'll get this over with quicker. You are very, very welcome there, Total Freak UK. It is a lot of fun. I see that Crude Moon Landing is back in the lead with the pole. Again, once this is done, once I have all 4 of my Kerbals back on the surface, then I'm going to be going on to whatever you folks are voting for. And again, there is a very, very good chance that we'll start the mission, but I'll have to finish it next week. But that seems to be a growing trend, that we're starting these with missions that are continuations from the week before. Oh, jeez. I gotta pay attention to that. Ran out on that stage, on to the next one. Pumped up the thrust to make up for the fact it's on a puny little engine now. What is a geostationary orbit? So a geostationary orbit is an orbit where the satellite will remain over a fixed point on Kerbin's surface. It's called geostationary because it's Kerbin as opposed to geostationary, which would be in reference to the Earth. Geostationary orbits, of course, are completely a real thing. If you have satellite TV and you have a satellite that is always pointing in the same direction, the dish is always pointing in the same direction and you don't have to move it, that's because it is pointed at something that's in a stationary, geostationary orbit about the Earth. Because if it wasn't in a geostationary orbit, you would have to move that dish. Now that's different than the sort of general receivers that you see, like for instance, if any of you have, what is that, Starlink, their receiver is omnidirectional. So it's picking up whatever satellites it can get a hold of. It's not pointed in any particular direction. Okay, I gotta pay attention to what I'm doing here. There we go. Lights on. That's open. And we're about 2 minutes from apoapsis. So you can see my little thing of not reducing the throttle. My periapsis is a little lower than it was before. It's at negative 66 instead of, I think it was 55 before. So this is, I'm thinking probably, I never did look at the delta V, but this is going to be probably a tad bit less efficient, but I mean just a tad. So I probably shouldn't be so. There we go. And yeah, I don't like my booster fin separation little short thing. I have a handful of shorts that just keep going, and that's one of them, and it gets a lot of comments of people complaining. They go, "The drag, man, the drag." Like, you know, you're flying through soup or something like that. All right. Not that I'm knocking D Wolf's comment there. I just every time I go to check my YouTube comments, there's always comments from videos like that one. People complaining. All right. Oh, gosh, I should get started here. I forgot. I have to do a little bit more burning than I did last time. Not much more. A little more. All right. Come on. 80 by 80. You can do it. Close enough. Alrighty, so let's put, so this one's now in pretty darn close to an 80 by 80 orbit. Oh, I gotta collect some this scientific data. Simply recover some data. So that's pretty easy. All I gotta do is a crew report. Even though it has 0 science, I can just collect that. And that will satisfy the contract once we're down on the surface. Unfortunately, I cannot transmit it because I did not put an antenna on this thing. Because I never really thought about science, but there we go. Okay, now it's time to set up our rendezvous. So you can see we are in a slightly different orbit than our target. So we are in the lower orbit, so we will be catching up naturally. But in order to actually rendezvous with them, I obviously have to get my apoapsis at some point to match up with their orbit. So we're gonna just put a maneuver just a little bit ahead, push this up a bit. And I do have this set as a target, and you can see here that we're getting these intersect indicators. Now it's telling me that, let's see, my closest approach is here, but my target is going to be here when I'm as close at this closest approach. So it's still way ahead of us. So that means I haven't waited long enough to do this burn, but that's not a problem. I just move this. Until, well, I think I actually passed the point here, didn't I? Somewhere in here. I'm getting both of them now. And you can move it also with the time tools. I sometimes find that easier with the little jumpy tools. Okay, what's happening over here? Sometimes they get funky. Oh yeah, that's still going lower. Okay, so we'll keep moving it. Keep moving it, keep moving it. It's getting smaller, 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 smaller. Now notice I'm catching up to my own craft. And when you catch up to your own craft, what ends up happening is it gets back to your current orbit, and that kind of messes it up a little bit. But that's not a problem. You go down here, there's a little orbit with a little plus sign, hit the plus orbit, and now I'm on the next orbit after that, and I can still keep... Oh, that's making it worse, so I gotta go back now. But now I'm on the next orbit, so we're gonna have to go around once, but that's not a problem. And you keep doing it generally until you see it get as close as you know, reasonable. There we are. Now it's a 1.9 kilometer separation. That's pretty close. But of course, we can do better. We can do better. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put the slider way down, and I'm just going to keep pushing a little bit of prograde until I just see that purple one. So the purple one's telling me that I'm crossing the orbit here, coming above, and then crossing it again. So that means I'm burning a little bit too much. So I'm going to come back a little bit till they disappear. Then I'm going to put the time tool on just 1 second. Actually, maybe a couple of seconds. I'm still. See which way. This way. So I'm going to go up 2 second intervals, getting it down lower. I noticed the purple ones came up again, but I don't really care that much. I'm seeing a 7. Let's see. If I come down a little bit. So the purples go away. Again, let's turn this to 1 second intervals because we're very close. Oh, that made it worse. I see 300 meters. I'm going to call it at that point. So 300 meters right about there. Probably a slight inclination difference between the two orbits is making up that 300 meter difference. But there we go. That's how you set up the rendezvous. And again, just taking advantage of the fact that we are behind and we got to catch up. Now, that burn's not coming up for another 40 minutes and 40-something seconds, so we're going to have to do some time warping. That's not a problem. Put this on free. I like it free once I'm in here, so I find this is prettier. And my solar panels have some good exposure. They do, so we're just going to warp to that maneuver. It's going to take us time. So we're going to have to go around once and a little bit more. What did I miss, says Nor. We are attempting a rendezvous, which is going to then be followed by a docking to satisfy this Explorer Kerbin contract to dock two vessels together. So that's what's going on. And we are just about at our... There we go. So we're going to put this here. Now this burn is... Oh, it's switched to target. You got to be careful about that. It's switched to target. As soon as I was like, that's not the way I want to burn. It's switched to target. So we're going to put it back to orbit here. I'm also noticing it's just a 1 second burn. So personally, what I like to do when these burns are really short is to turn the thrust limiter down. So now it's a 6 second burn. And also you can watch this from map view, but what I prefer to do is to click on this approach info. Oh no, I think it's giving it to me. We'll see. I was worried I didn't have enough upgrades on the tracking station, but I think I got it. We'll find out pretty quick. And I can monitor my intersect from here rather than going to map view, because this is prettier than map view. So, I got it. There we go. We're 6 seconds from the burn, so I'm going to go to about half throttle. And at some point, there comes our data. Yep. At some point, I'm going to start seeing some data there. Now, I'm going to cut a little early, and I'm really paying more attention to this than I am to the maneuver. So I got a 1.3 kilometer separation. And I'm trying to get this as low as I can. 300 meters. Oh my gosh. Oh, under 200 meters. See, I'm doing better than what the maneuver told me. Oh, now it's going up a little bit. You can also use RCS to kind of puff back and forth. But I'm seeing 113 meters. I'm pretty happy with that. So there we go. Oh, I'm still locked to prograde. That doesn't help. So, sort of, let's go back to map view so people can see just kind of what's going on here. This is us. We are now in an orbit. Notice we're still a little bit behind our target. But we are going a little bit faster so that by the time we get to here, we're going to be meeting up is what's going to happen. We aren't that far away. We're only, oh my gosh, we're only 44 meters from the target. We're definitely... Let's put this back on orbit again. Where is it? We should be able to see it. No, what is it? F4. There it is. F4, by the way, if these ever disappear on you, it's because you need to hit F4. There's our target there. Okay, but all I got to do is watch this time. Do a little time warping. You might want to do a quick save, especially if you're new to this, so that you can revert. And it's going to do some funky dippy-doodly type of things because orbital mechanics are weird. But I get to myself to them about a couple of minutes ahead of it. And I'm really watching this time. We'll put this back on target too. And once you put this on target, you're also watching this speed. So the idea is that you want this speed to be 0 when you get really close to it. That's really it. And we're going to be our closest approach is about 2 minutes away. Now, what I prefer to do, we can lock this on retrograde. Some people like to get super duper close and then just like punch their throttle. I'm not one of those types of people. I like to kind of tweak this from afar. That's kind of the way I like to do it. So I look at my retrograde vector. I look at my little target, retrograde target icon, and I want to see like if I burn it, this has a tendency to drift towards the horizon as we get closer. So what if I put it over here and just do a very, very gentle... Actually, you can also do this with RCS. Put RCS on, a little bit of H's. Yeah, that brings it down. You know, a little bit of throttle. And I'm watching my intercept distance. It's under 100 meters now. And I'm just going to keep doing this until... You know, I like to get this as low as I can. Oh, starting to creep back up, so I stop. What if I push it a little bit this away? Again, you can test with RCS first. Puff on the H key. That's bringing it down. Okay, a little bit of throttle. Get it closer. 60, 50, 40, 30. It's slowing down so I can tell. You know, now I'm coming within 30 meters of it. So you can tweak this kind of stuff out while you're still a reasonable distance away. I'll push it a little bit this way. Now that I'm pretty close, you can actually just put the retrograde vector right on top of the retrograde target icon. But when you're far away, that doesn't work, especially if you're in low orbit. Okay, so according to this, I'm about 30 seconds away. I definitely want to watch this time. You don't want to let this time get to a point where, you know, you're going to end up blowing by your target. So I'm going to slow down now just a little bit like this. And I'm going to try and see if I can keep that time pretty close to being constant. There we go. It's now stuck at 18, a little bit more throttle, 17. See, and if I can keep this time from going down, that means I'm not going to go by or hit it, which is good. I like not going by and hitting it. A little bit of tweaking to get the distance to go down again. And then if it starts shooting up, stop. Stop, because that means, you know, you're getting too far away. My speed now, or not too far away, but you're getting your speed so low it's going to take you forever to get there. So I noticed the time started increasing quickly, so I just cut the throttle. Not like this is hard. At least I don't know. Maybe it takes a bit of practice. Oh, I'm still locked to retrograde. I keep doing that. A little bit this way. Back on here. All right, I'm really close. Let's stop. I'm going to just zero this speed right out. Zeroing out the speed. I'm actually probably a little too close. If you get a little too close... Okay, I'm putting on RCS and just zeroing this out with RCS. A few puffs of RCS should do it. If you get yourself too close, you can actually... Your exhaust from your engine can move this. Okay, so... I stop deliberately. Usually when I do docking, I don't actually stop. I want to take advantage of the momentum that I have, but I want to talk about docking next. So we've done the rendezvous part. Now let's do the docking part. So I'm going to, what you want to do is control from your docking port. So you right click on the docking port, say control from here. You want to get on the other docking port and say set as target. Now if you're having a little bit of trouble clicking on the docking port because it's too far away, you're not parked up right next to each other like we are here, you know, press the square bracket key to switch over to that vessel, right click on that docking port, and then simply press the square bracket key to go back, and now you have that docking port selected. So I want to aim that as a target. So what I'm going to do this first the really super easy way, which is simply spin this around like so. So I'm aiming straight at the target. I just put it right now. So now my docking port is aiming straight at this docking port. So next what I'm going to do is switch to the other vessel. Select its docking port. Say also control from here. Find my ship. There it is. Say set that as a target. And now just do the opposite. And aim straight at. Some of you might be noticing this little red circle. I'll be explaining that in a little bit, but now I have both docking ports pointed straight at each other. I can go back and check, and as you get better probe bodies and better pilots, you can actually lock right onto that, and I think really that's the easiest way to do it. You know what, I'm gonna do a quick save and I'll back up and I'll show people if you don't have that ability what else you can do. So now I'm just going to use puffs on the RCS. Get myself a little velocity here. I'm just pushing the H key. Noticing my prograde icon here. So I'm going to use the I. Coming in actually pretty quick. The I, J, K, L keys to move that prograde icon around. I want to actually get it right onto the target here. I don't think we're quite lined up super right, because I can tell because all the little icons aren't quite right. Let's go back this way. Get all those circles all to be right on top of each other. I think it's going to work anyway, though. Slow down, buddy. You're going, oh my god, Valentina is just a hot dog. And there we go, we're docked. So that's that docking contract done. So I think that is the easiest way to do it, but what I'll show is an alternate way, I suppose. So I'm just pushing F9, I'll go right back to that quick save. Okay, so I'm back to here. An alternate way to do it, like sometimes you'll have vessels like stations that aren't so easy to kind of just whip them around and point them at each other. So another alternative is to put one of your vessels onto the north line. So here, if I go into orbit view, it's really obvious. That's not orbit view, that's orbit view. There we go. So you put it on the north line, put it on the horizon, and this is pointing now straight northwards. I keep trying to point it with the camera, but it's kind of awkward. Oh, it's because I don't know what's going on, but whatever. That's on north. And then you go to your other one, and you put it on 180 degrees right on the horizon, and that is south. And now, why on earth? There's no way that's the same. Okay, why am control from here? I'm very confused. Oh, where was it controlling from? I don't know. That's a mystery. That's why I was so confused by this. Okay, now this thing is pointing due north. There we go. That looks better. And then if we go to this one and control from here and put this one on due south, that's what I was shooting for. There we go. Now the two docking ports are perfectly aligned. Now, you might be noticing this little red icon. That's a mod I have installed called Navball Docking Alignment Indicator. It tells you where to point to line up the docking ports. I think that is a great mod. Now, I am noticing that I am drifting southwards of this docking port. So I'm going to actually put on RCS. I wonder what it was using as the control point. That was very weird. I'm just going to back up a little bit with the N keys. And then what I'm also going to do is find out where this docking port. There it is. So now I'm pointing at that docking port, and I'm going to go a little bit north of that and give a couple of puffs of RCS. So I'm going to be going above it. And now I'm going back onto the south. So this is an alternate way to do the docking. You can decide. I do love my docking alignment indicator mod. I wish there was something in stock for that. Now I'm seeing now the target icon, my retrograde icon, and my little birdie icon. You want those fellas in a line. So I'm going to bring that down. A little bit of H's. Oh. I can. Yeah. You can also use RCS to kind of, if I push towards the right, that's the L key, and push down, which is the I key on the nav ball, that gets me going. Oh, now I'm seeing my little vector there. So I'm just moving using IJKL to put the prograde icon right on the target. So that tells me I'm moving now in the right direction, though really, really slowly. Let's go a little quicker. There we go. Okay, so like these guys are all in a line, is what you're shooting for. Some people also like the docking mode. What's this one? This one, that suddenly makes WASD the lateral translation rather than IJK and L. I'm not a fan, but other people like it. It's up to you. And now I can see I'm coming closer and closer to the target icon. I might give myself a little bit of prograde, so I'm actually going that way. And I want to follow that. Oh, I got my hands in the wrong spot. I'm using IJK and L to follow with the yellow prograde icon to follow the target icon right into my target. So I'm mostly looking at the nav ball while I'm doing this. So this is an alternate way, and this works really well if you have something like a space station that you don't want to sling around to get the docking ports to line up. If you just park the space station with the docking ports pointing north-south, makes this a really easy way to do it. Okay, so there we go. Boink, we're done. And it takes practice. I mean, there's just no way around it. It takes practice to do this, you know, with some efficiency. I've done this more than just a few times. So don't feel bad if you need to. Here we have all our folks. If you need to do this several times. But, you know, quick save and practice is all I got to say. Okay, I think I'm kind of done with this. So let's undock. We got to go moon. Oh, crewed moon landings at 51%. We got to get this going. Come on, undock. Time to get these folks home. So we're going to do, unfortunately, we got to do one at a time here. So our target, oh, I can't see the KSC. There's the KSC. So, time warp here. We'll do one and then we'll do the next one on the next orbit. I'm going to go to the point here right underneath the Woomerang light launch site. And that's where I'm going to start my... I always like to start these at the same spot all the time. I'm going to put this on retrograde. I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to just drive. Ooh, it's not far, is it? We'll watch it from here. Gotta be careful that I'm not going to just drive into the other ship. I'll bring my periapsis down to, I don't know, 35-ish? We'll see. It's not like this is vital. Who did I get here? I got Jeb and Bill. So Jeb and Bill are going down first. Yeah, the pole is very close. Oh, crewed moon landing is pulling a little bit more of a lead. I don't know what was going on with the alignments. Oh, I went to 32 kilometers. That's okay. Yeah, that's. Oh, we'll see what happens. I might have brought it down a little bit too far. That's okay. Worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to slam into the side of a mountain. Maybe that's a good time to quick save then. Okay. Let's get them down. Let's get them down. There we go. Put it on retrograde. Put this on surface. Basically turn off SAS. It should be fine from here. Get down to the surface. I think my other ship has the science on it. And get them down. I'm thinking this might be a good little orbiter for me. I'm thinking, like, you know, I might keep it for a while. At some point I'll probably build a space station in low orbit around Kerbin, and this might make a nice little craft to go up and down and pick up. Also picking up rescues. Might be good for picking up rescues from low orbit. Haven't seen any of those yet. And I'm full time warp, so unfortunately this is as fast as she goes. Are we going to get any explosions from this? I think we're going to come short. Right? Like this isn't... No, we're at the continent that's not the KSC, right? Or maybe not. No, yeah. Where are we? Oh yeah, we're way short. We're on the wrong ocean. We're landing in the Pacific instead of the Atlantic. That's okay. That's okay. I mean, you know, it's just an ocean. There's just a continent between us. Like, how accurate do you expect us to get this? It's not overbuilt enough. Yeah, this thing is a little overbuilt. But that's okay. I don't know what it is, but I like to be out of time warp when these things fully deploy. I just simply don't trust the physics. I don't know if that's fair on my part, but whatever. Yeah, it's better to overbuild, I think. It's not like how much money do I have? I think I'm almost at 1 million Kerbucks already, and it's not like I'm very deep in this campaign. Like, I honestly, I find it's a lot, you know, you really got to be stingy with money in the first little while to get the research and development especially upgraded. But then once you kind of get that tier 2 on the vehicle assembly building and the launch pad and the research and development, suddenly money stops being so tight. Okay, we have to go into the... Oh, I still got to upgrade this. Okay, so I do have to save up money to upgrade research and development. That has yet to happen. All right, tracking station. Keo is sexier than the moon, just saying. Okay. The jump from tier 1 to tier 2 on things like the launch pad and the vehicle assembly building is so monstrous. Oh, there we go. Okay, so don't go as low this time. Maybe 40 kilometers. Maybe we'll land in the right ocean. Like, I honestly find it a little bit funny how there's such a jump between tier 1 and tier 2. Especially the part count. Like, why is the part count so low? In Kerbal Space Program 2, it doesn't look like they're going with building upgrades at all, but hopefully they'll give us much more other things. Oh, I forgot. I got my throttle limiter still way down on Valentina's craft. That's why this is taking so long. That's okay. Okay, 40-ish. 40-ish. Oh, I'm still locked to retrograde. I do that so often. Okay. Let's go, moon. It's looking like that's where we're going next. I always like to point to the normal vector before I do this stage separation. Just because it pushes the stage out of your trajectory. So you don't have to worry about ever potentially running into it. It's a habit from a long time ago. Yep, those are armed. Okay. This should also have a crew report in here somewhere. It does. So this should satisfy this contract, even though there's no science. Oh, SAS can come off. But I was about to say the inaugural flight, but it's not the inaugural flight. The inaugural flight of this thing was suborbital. So the inaugural flight was, nobody died, but it was less than a success. This one went all very well. Oh, you can also stage radially, of course, as well. That is very true. You're saying to make sure it burns up. I've never had ditching stages in this situation and not have them burn up. Usually they end up getting deleted while I'm on my way down. Alright, so here we are, coming over the KSC at night. Just after sunset. Thanks. Yep. Think so. Very chattery with their chatterer mod. Oh, I can see we got all kinds of milestones. A few here. What do we got here? We performed a rendezvous maneuver. We have started construction of our first station around Kerbin. Whenever you do some docking, it thinks you're making a station. And you performed our first docking maneuver. Excellent. And that's for the docking contract. And we still got one more contract here, too. Messages. Which one's the messages? Oh my gosh. This one. Okay. You like doing the descent first person? Of course, what's really fun is doing other things first person, though there is a really cool mod, and I honestly thought of going this way. I'm pretty sure I don't have it installed, because I know I thought about having it installed. No, I don't have it installed. That's the stock one. But Raster Prop Monitor, which adds all kinds of screens and things, and all kinds of data. So you can do, allows you to do all kinds of things, from cockpit mode. But I didn't install it. I thought it would be a step too far from stock, so I didn't do it. Okay, there we go.